All right, so after quite a bit of struggling, it finally happened. I figured out Wilson. Um, Unfortunately, this is going to be somewhat anticlimactic because beating Wilson involves playing some pretty stupid chess, honestly. Um, it's uh, it's definitely opening heavy for sure. And as we go through the moves, I'll explain certain things. Wilson is what put me off of really trying to play um, and trying to challenge myself for several months, actually. And for several months, I just kind of studied chess on and off without playing. I would just sort of pick up my phone and test out different ideas, and that's it. Um, Wilson is Wilson is brutal for all the wrong reasons. Um, One thing I can say before we get into the moves and the concepts and his weaknesses and stuff is that Wilson tries to force a draw. Yeah, he has no plan or intent in checkmating you to begin with. He just wants to resist you, which is like so basically he doesn't consider positions well enough to see whether it's a draw or not. Um, so you have to play some pretty stupid chess to beat him because you're not anticipating any best moves. You're not thinking, okay, something changed. Let me just double check and see if there's any nightmares coming in that I need to address. Um, no, there's none of that. Um, it says he's at 1200, but he was still much tougher to beat than that though. Um, and definitely harder than Nelson. Nelson is a bot like that. Like I said in the video, completely falls apart once you get the opening correct. Okay. Sorry, I'm eating. So, okay, so one e4. Yes, I chose this because yes, I could have played d4 for something more stable in the beginning, but I needed. Um, but he tends to be somewhat blind to tactics. E4 has more tactical beginnings. Um, and so I squeezed out just a little bit more domination from there. Not necessarily playing quality, but domination. I still consider d4 to be better. Um, Here, I mean, he's starting off with f5. Not it's not really a practical move. Um, if I take, he has no f5 plan, basically. Um, if I push my pawn up, his pawn is completely stranded and stuff. It's just a very rocky thing. Here it says the knight c3 is wrong. It wants me to capture the pawn and create a hole and stuff. I don't feel that creating a hole is necessary. Um, and I'm actually going to run this position through on Stockfish to see what Stockfish says here. And no, I did not use Stockfish to beat Wilson. Okay. If I ever use Stockfish to beat somebody, I'll say it. It's not. I would never claim to beat somebody if it's Stockfish's ideas. Okay. Now, Mr. Stockfish, what should White do? Oh, no, we're not analyzing for 600 seconds. Hell fucking no. Da-da-da. We're just going to wait here for a minute while I stew about how unprepared I am to explain this stuff. And while I stew about how inaccurate the game was, I just didn't really have a sense of domination, that I was eviscerating him, just sort of grinding him down. If you're hearing scraping noises, it's because I'm eating directly out of a pot. It's my apartment. I can do whatever the fuck I want. Oh, whoops. I actually hit the wrong button. Oh, shit. Blunder. All right. No, sorry. Help to move for white, please. Thank you, Mr. Stockfish. Huh, it wants me to take, huh? And which is apparently vastly better than if I capture. Leads to this position, apparently, which is okay. Yeah, you can kind of just do some things with tempo and really make that king side a source of forcing your opponent to react. Okay. I'm just trying to think, was I supposed to see this continuation? Or wait, I don't get it. If this leads to a favorable position for me, then why is black doing this? Yeah, no, I don't agree with this logic. Sorry. This leads to an immediate loss for black. I'm sorry. Yeah, no. Apparently C3 though, my idea is supposed to lead to this, which is okay, the equal pawns. Not looking at any minority attacks. My pawns are pointing, I guess. I would think my pawns are a little bit misdirected. What's the idea here? This would make a great puzzle, actually. Pushing the b pawn ever so slightly weakens the queen. I think this continuation of pushing the c pawn with ideas to press in the c6 square, bring in queen there, and then yeah, hello? Hey babe, did I leave my red plastic dead blow hammer at your apartment?
I don't think so.
Okay, can you check and text me back because I'm kind of working on something right now.
Okay, tell me again what it is.
It's a red plastic dead blow hammer.
So it's a red plastic hammer.
Yeah,
Okay, I'll look around for it.
yeah, it's like a mallet-shaped hammer.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Bye.
All right. Okay, so thinking of pressing on the C6 square. I mean, it's certainly well defended. Could create a bad rook, though, which can be exploited. Potentially. I mean, I have just that little bit of flexibility to... Maybe I can do some C6 and C7 ideas. And then... Or I can do F4, knight F4, and then threaten the battery with the rook and queen, which is pretty hefty. That lifts my rook ever so slightly, and then I can press with the dark squared bishop, and then do a battery with the rooks, or threaten, create that kind of a threat. Because he's got pawn formation. He's got this meaningless hole right here, which is totally misdirected away from the king. This hole right here is attacking. This hole right here is drawish. That's the thing. Okay, so yeah. Yeah, no, that line doesn't work. You got to think for yourself. And I think it's a central thing in dealing with Wilson. You got to think for yourself. Yeah. Not just with Wilson, but with just in general, which is what this video is about. Demonstrating that applying chess philosophy defeats all opponents. Wants me to go check here with the queen. That has issues. That is certainly not a no. Well, what do you want me to do? Control the fifth rank with the queen? Stop it, please. I would consider other things before that. Okay. Here, okay. So yeah, we're just opening. We're just rapidly building up while handling the very real possibility of being attacked, and being as efficient with our development and activity as possible, and trying to control as much space as possible by starting off by targeting the center. Winning the center is influential in all phases of the game. And so here, okay, hold on. So where's okay? So here pieces start coming off the board. Because we transition from the opening to the middle game where the fighting is beginning, and lifting the rook here because I want to press now. Because now that I'm creating strong squares and threatening threats on his king side, he's going to have to react, which is going to weaken him and stuff. It's going to make his pieces uncoordinated. Just makes it too hard to keep coordination when you're forced to react in a certain way. Plus, this means that I'm building up against his king side, while being as generally well defended as possible. Now, glaring issue with him is that, he dropped the opening and he just couldn't recover. Here I'm seeking to simplify because I have my queen and rook and bishop here to press on his king side. you should have at least three pieces to attack the king, and I certainly have more attackers than defenders here, or at least my attackers and defenders are stronger. Here he's trying to capture, so he doesn't really understand how to play his pawns either, which I think you should know. He, you know, because he's trying to, he thinks he's forcing it to where he's gonna like capture towards the center and stuff, but he's getting the initiative totally wrong. And he's threatening himself to double his own pawns. Here, just moving the pawn up is as good as capturing that pawn. I don't want to lose that pawn because I get to control these squares and stuff over here. And that makes his queen weaker and king. If you can't capture a piece right away, you can weaken it. That's certainly an idea. I'm not saying to weaken it instead automatically. There's no such thing as something you automatically generally do, but you should generate ideas and generate as many as possible so you have good candidates. And then, but you'll start to see commonalities and stuff, like from different principles, like the same moves will come up in the game that you're thinking of, and that really clues you in as to what's the strongest move. Yeah, so he leaves his king side undefended for black. He doesn't know transposing. He doesn't know pawns. He doesn't know openings. Here, Stockfish doesn't like my idea. But that's a weak square. That's a weak area, I just can't go directly for the king, so I have to go for the pieces that are fighting for the king. I mean, I don't see what the fucking problem is. Here I take, this becomes forcing because his king side, is like I'm creating a very strong square on e8, and his king side is losing mobile squares. It's encouraging his king to consider moving out forward, cutting off his rook and stuff. So he must take. Plus, I'm in his territory. He has to address me. He can't counter-threaten. His queen is, not so mobile. Here, some pawn theory. I push the B pawn here because I want to make sure I'm capturing towards the center where I'm going to be more mobile. And now my queen gets that whole file, or my rook. Here I have to pass a pawn because he plays drawish, so I really need that extra juice. So to recap, he plays drawish, he doesn't know pawns, he drops his opening, he doesn't know how to defend his king. He might just not know how to play his black. Then again, I don't really blame someone for not knowing how to play his black because that's where real chess is at. Like, it's quite a bit harder. When you're playing perfectly as black, you have to find at least one brilliancy. I'm just thinking of why. Yeah, so he tries to check my king. I have too much mobility, and I have quite a bit of material to back me up. I have, it looks like the f7 pawn is a pawn right here, but the performance of your piece outweighs the 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 simple value of it and stuff. Yes, a pawn is worth one pawns, but this pawn here in a pawn like on f7 that's totally free to promote without uh, without overusing tempo, like promoting on initiative, is better than this black queen in h4. Here he doesn't try to find a tactical combination. I think Wilson's blind to tactical combinations too, in addition to the other things I can tell you about him to help you beat him. And I think coming up is going to be the most painful move that, which I deeply regret making. Here, I didn't really mean to sack my queen, but I mean, I became complacent because I didn't have to, because I didn't have to fight so hard anymore. I could still pass my G pawn. Right, so here is where the stupidity really happens. Arguably, I've said in a past video that I make moves so bad that they should be considered illegal in more than 80 countries and punishable with prison time. This is one of those moments, but it's not really my fault because at this moment, I'm feeling so aggressive and stuff, but like my adrenaline's so high, my thumb's shaking, and I'm on my phone playing. So I tapped the wrong square. I meant to tap the c8 square, and I just interfered the rook instead of capturing it. It became like a desperado interference stupid thing. And I could have resigned here, but I decided to, keep it together. Here, I just pinned the rook. I wouldn't say that's instructive, but I just think it's kind of funny that he did this to himself, permitting this tactic when he could have played for a draw, honestly, or forked me with some pressure. Yeah, boom. And yeah, so you see why Wilson's tough now? It took like frickin' 3 queens to take him down. Because he can really be that tough sometimes. Don't feel bad about losing to him. He's brutally tough. I bet if I run this game through Stockfish, I'll see what his real strength was. But yeah, that's how you beat Wilson. Recap. He doesn't know how to play openings. He doesn't know how to play pawns. He doesn't know how to defend his king. And he doesn't really see deep enough to catch the tactics and stuff. He permits tactical combinations. Yeah, so that's how you beat Wilson. Good luck.